Welcome, everybody. Another episode of Get Spooled, Real Fish Talk. We are here after ICAST. Got my buddies, Captain Rick Liles. We made it. We survived. Got my buddy, Captain Travis Yaeckel. Jason left today for vacation. Looks like he's going to go on the scallop grind. But we're all here. Ready to talk some fishing. You know, it's been raining, but I know we've been getting some fishing in. I know we all went over the weekend. You were back on the water Friday on the tarpon grind.
Friday morning.
Right, man. Back at it.
Right back at it, bro.
I seen you got one.
We did. We flew 2 fish. We landed 1, so it was a good time. And then fished Saturday. It's just been so hot, man.
It has.
You know,
especially this weekend with the moisture in the air. Like going back to last week, and you know,
brutal.
Gosh, the temperatures it seem like they're actually down a little bit.
Last week wasn't so bad with the winds, but brutal today.
Yeah, yesterday. I know Sunday was really calm, really muggy. But what was interesting is the water temperature was down a little bit, and that's got to be from all the rain that we've had coming in over the last few days. But definitely got the fish in a different pattern. I wouldn't say fishing hasn't been good, but it's definitely been it definitely changed the pattern around a little bit. Especially for me, I came from vacation. Back to the store and straight to ICAST. So the weekend was my first trips in over a week since before I left for vacation. So it was nice to get back out there. But yeah, definitely a good bite. Tarpon seemed like they're in a transitional phase. Seeing them in some places, I like seeing them.
I'll tell you one of the things that, sorry guys, I was just trying to share the show a little bit there. If, again, you know, I know we got a lot of guys on here and girls that watch our show. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead, like, share it. Try to get the word out there. If you got a different group or something that we don't share it to, that have some folks that might want to watch the show or join in, please feel free to do so. But, yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, and I, like most of us here, we write articles every month. So a lot of the times, when we do the show, I kind of fall back on some of the material that I put in the article. And just historically, this time of year, this article always talks about hot water fishing.
Yep.
You know, some tactics to how to have a day on the water when it's hot, whether it's the water or the outside temperature, you know, to get out there and have a good time. And we've sort of been talking about it over the last few months, but the bay fishing. I mean, granted, you can still catch redfish, snook. You know, if you want to go catch some trout, I don't really bother with the trout this time of year. That's just too hot. But there is some trout around, but a majority of my time is spent in the bay.
Yeah.
You know, in depths of anywhere from 12 to 45 feet. I was telling Rick today I actually fished a spot, and we were on anchor, so we were swinging a little bit, and we were marking water that was like 49.8, almost 50 foot,
right.
Like some pretty seriously deep stuff, and that's where the fish were.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting right on this little rock edge, and did really well on the bottom today.
Right.
So if you're looking for some of that kind of stuff and you're looking for some action, especially in the middle of the day, we've had that slack tide. At least in the last couple of days, it's been right in the middle of the day, and that's been my favorite time to get out in the middle and do some fishing. So bring a lot of water, a
lot of ice.
Don't stay in the same spot for too long of a time. Make a little run around, cool off, turn the AC on. But for me, that's where most of the fishing's been hot. When you talk about hot, so the fishing's been hot and it's been hot. So
I noticed that on in some of the areas I checked. So the group. I know we fished kind of the same group on Saturday and Sunday, and my folks on Sunday, the mission was to get snapper, and I had a hard time. I'm not going to lie. And the show of fish that I'm used to seeing on the places I visited, couldn't get them off the bottom. And I think that, that could be temperature related. Sometimes I'll see that when you get a heavy influx, when you get a lot of rain, I don't know. They just act funny. I was saying that at the beginning, but I never got them to lift off the bottom. So every bite we were getting was extremely difficult to get them off that structure in 30 to 38 feet of water is where we were targeting them. So we had a hard time with that. Then you mix in the current moving in the morning, trying to do it when the current's moving at a good clip. Just all around tough situation. So we went and did mackerel instead. And then, like you said, on that slack, we got a decent mackerel bite. I'll never say we got a good one. I'll tell you that with the machine, seeing those mackerel in the chum, they were there. We had a hard time getting them to really commit. We caught some. We caught enough for them to put some meat on the table, but by no means did we crush the mackerel. Then, as the day goes on, you want to get closer to where you kind of started, and the tide started to slack up a little bit. And as in we stayed out an extra 30 minutes, even though we were supposed to be back at a certain time because our bite got so good as that tide slacked up. And I could see the fish starting to lift off the structure, starting to move around a little bit. So I'll definitely credit that. And I did the O'Brien's Fishing Club. I spoke to them last Wednesday night, and that was the topic. That was setting up a day of fishing this time of year, looking at tide stages. And they had a mackerel tournament going on Saturday. So we spent a great deal of time talking about mackerel and when the tide's moving, when it's not, what's your overall day going to consist of and how it's going to look. And that's the same things we touched on. I got photos from, I know Kirk cleaned up on the mackerel Saturday. And something else we talked about was grouper fishing. One of our viewers, I wish I could share the photo. Did you see Eric Olson?
I didn't see
it. Dude, I mean, he's just getting into this grouper fishing, but by following through on some of those things we talked about and really trying to be there at the right, where the tide's not moving, working the baits like we've been talking about, dude, he crushed them. I mean, he absolutely crushed the grouper.
Nice.
I think he had several fish from 25 to 28 inches. And this is a guy who just kind of picked it up just recently.
This is when to go do it. One of the things, and Rick and I talked about it on the way over, is the last few trips that I've been on in the bay, I've had shrimp. And it's been it's been the X factor. I can tell you that we did pretty well today on snapper. In the last few trips, I've done really well on snapper, and I can attest it 100% to fishing with shrimp because we were using cut bait and live bait right next to it, and the guys weren't getting bit. I mean, as soon as you dropped the shrimp down, you were getting bit. And these were some bigger snapper. We got some snapper. I haven't seen the big ones yet. I haven't put one in the boat over 5-6 pounds, but we caught some up in the 4 close to 5 pound range.
Those are studs for the bay, though.
And on shrimp, every one of them was on shrimp. So I know that as this season goes, as these snappers start to sort of bulk up and really start to do a spawn, I honestly don't think that our snapper have done the deal yet inside the bay.
No.
I looked back in previous years fishing a lot of these fish, and this is going to run all the way up into August, even into September. And so, the hotter it gets, I feel like they just get balled up more. They go deep, and they end up getting in large aggregations around these rock piles. And so, if you haven't been on a good snapper bite recently and you've been to your snapper spots or maybe a spot that you fish grouper and you haven't been catching any snappers, continue to hit those every now and again and keep them in your routine.
Yep.
Because over the next few weeks, over the next couple moons, those fish are going to stack up, even more.
Absolutely.
So, but I will throw that out there if you do fish in the bay, even if you're going to fish on the mangroves this time of year, shrimp is not a bad option, especially if you're not one to go out and get a lot of bait or can throw the net. So It's been
And
a
you're
little.
getting live. I assume live, right?
I'm getting live, and it's funny. I went to the bait shop this morning. It doesn't. And you know what was funny is I went to the bait shop this morning and got some bait or got some shrimp and got over to picked up the kids. I had kids camp today. And the one kid goes, "Well, where's the bait?" I said, "It's in the bucket." He goes, "Well, isn't it going to die?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, you know, it was like, do you want me to put him in the live one?" I was like, "Man, don't even worry about it. It's not going to matter." And I mean, from when we got to the first spot, they were still flipping a little bit. By the time 10 o'clock rolled around, there wasn't a live shrimp in the bucket, and the bite never changed one bit. So to me, it didn't matter. I do think sometimes it makes a difference if you've got, say, frozen shrimp versus live shrimp or fresh shrimp.
Fresh dead shrimp.
There are times where that frozen shrimp actually works a little better, especially when the snapper get real picky, because I use small hooks and small baits, if they act real picky. And sometimes that frozen shrimp will actually stay on the hook a little bit better.
Especially when it starts cooking, like if it's that fresh dead stuff and it starts cooking in the bucket or wherever you've got it, it really starts to come apart.
Yeah, it'll get soft on you, but nevertheless, that's a little tip I wanted to throw out there. If you're on a spot, bring a couple shrimp, man. It may change your whole entire day. So and mackerel fishing is another one that you can crush them on shrimp.
Yeah. We got some of ours on shrimp the other day.
Shrimp.
So that was when I said it was slow.
You can crush mackerel on pieces of shrimp.
Yeah,
pieces.
Just little bitty.
How many times have you been catching mackerel and you're live chumming
and
they come up and they're spitting up shrimp and you ain't put a shrimp out at all?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a natural feeding source for everything inside Tampa Bay. That's what's cool about it. You catch a big gag. We caught about a 20-inch red grouper today on shrimp. Little baby shrimp. We caught a couple gags. We caught some grunts. I think we ended up with probably 15 to 20 snappers. Caught a mackerel. A sheep's head. Caught a sheep's head, which was an interesting one. So you just never know when fishing with shrimp, which is kind of cool. So throw that out there.
Justin, looks like you had a question there. You went out in the bay and absolutely got skunked. We did that last week. It was rough. I'm pretty sure we've all had at least a day like that.
I have. Not this time of year, but I've definitely
Justin, I know I talk to you quite often through social media and stuff. I'd ask you, are you still are you grinding it out on the flats? Are you still targeting snook, redfish, and trout? So tell us what kind of fishing you were doing, or maybe message us later. And maybe we can give you some pointers, because right now for the most part, we're being pretty selective of when, how, and where we target our inshore fish, our snook, redfish, and trout. I know that it's not something I want to be running the entirety of my trip targeting, because that can be very difficult. And I've had
what's up, Manny?
Even picking out some of the right tides and things. I've had some times in the last, let's call it a month, where I'm picking the premier time of day. I've got an arsenal of different baits I can put in front of them, and even then it's tough. So I can tell you, if that's the style of fishing you're doing right now, get out and explore. I know you guys got the newer boat, and have the means to get out there into the middle of the bay when the weather's right. So maybe try that if that's what you and your pops are still working on. No, we did group.
That was the tough thing about Saturday's trip, because it was a neat trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That incoming, right?
Yeah.
With a good wind to push it.
And it was cranking.
Mm-hmm.
But
you won't
didn't get that
didn't wanna go.
opportunity.
Yeah.
No. Saturday or Sunday, I did, because actually Sunday's trip was one of those for a captain or for anybody. Anybody that fishes, it was one of those low pressure deals where they get on the boat. Okay, what do y'all have in mind today? And 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, we just want to catch fish. So, and that's what we did. But the snook they want nothing to do with a live bait. Mm-hmm. I mean, nothing to do with a live bait. You put a dead one on, you're catching fish. But it was, to reiterate what you're saying, James, it's you gotta pick and choose and kind of you kind of need to come up with a better game plan now, this time of year with the water hot, watching your tides. Then you can have to do in the spring. You can get away with just just about going anywhere at any time and throwing baits.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let us in, Travis. What it hit?
So that was my boy
The power
Andy.
of pinfish or what?
Yeah, so he's down with the POP.
I see that.
Yeah, Andy's down with the POP, but no, it was a cut bait fish, a big slob knocker, big old trash can, and we had some cut bait out and got that big snook. So it was. I tell you what, man, I've been fortunate enough to put my paws on some big snook.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough to put my paws on bigger snook than I personally have been able to catch myself.
Yep.
Which is kind of like I'm a little bittersweet to that, but that was by far one of the heaviest for length.
Yeah.
I mean, just a giant fish, man. I'm talking huge.
I told you I had the same experience this year. Wasn't the longest, but I've never had a fish so heavy, and there've been several fish this year in snook fishing that are coming back just abnormally fat for their size.
The weight, just the weight on the fish was incredible.
That thing looked like a monster.
And
Did you see the picture?
Yeah.
When it rolled up, and I mean, there's a lot of times where you take a photo of a fish and the angle gets right, and you're like, man, that thing looks like it's like 80 inches, you know what I mean, or whatever. That photo, and I've got several other photos I can show you guys, but that photo is like as real as it gets. It's not. There's no really like angle magic going on. My cousin Josh is like 6'3", so and he's a 220 something pounds probably. He ain't a little guy, and it's a big snook.
You could tell there
It was a
There
toad.
was no mistake.
It was a toad, 41 inches, and I bet. I mean, if I had to guess, man, it was a 30-pound snook.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just
Big.
a chunk.
It looked big.
With the weight and the head on it, but anyway, yeah. So it ate a cut bait. To answer your question, Andy, real quick, and I know you guys are may have some questions coming up, but I wanted to touch base on a few things that we saw at ICAST.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Unfortunately, we only got to go for one day this year, and I didn't get to do a whole lot of walking around. But there's one thing that stood out, and partial to the fact that I was working the booth, and partial to the fact that I've been looking for something like this. But Rodan now has, and it'll be coming out soon, and I'm saying the next couple months, where you can integrate your trolling motor into your GPS.
I know.
And that right there is going to be the bomb, baby. Yeah. So you can now operate and control the GPS or the trolling motor.
I wish I had it on my boat right now through this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. Through your waypoints, or you can just bump it and control it right off your GPS. Right now it's for basically Navico products, so Simrad and Lowrance, but soon to come will be Garmin, I'm sure Raymarine, any other platform. It's a module-based piece of software that basically, installs and runs over NEMA 2000 network to integrate into the trolling motor. But the neat thing about it is, instead of having the remote in one hand, watching the GPS and with the other side of your brain,
right,
and getting it right, and then hitting spot lock and trying to land your boat on that mark. Now I can reference the mark from my GPS and tell the trolling motor to go there and watch it. So it's a really cool feature. It also gives you the ability to not have to have the remote, so that if you're at the dash or whatever, I know a lot of times when I'm tarpon fishing, I'm not hanging the remotes or, I set them down.
Yeah.
And so if I want to bump over 10 foot if the tide change or something like that, now I can just reach up on the GPS, go bump, and slide over a little bit right off my GPS. In addition to, they're also going to start working on some other stuff, and I spoke with the guys that were doing some of the software development and looking at some features like diagnostics, fault codes, stuff like that, to where if your unit is having issues, the Rodan system is extremely intelligent. Mm-hmm. The technology that's in that trolling motor is sort of a before its time, and so there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of analysis that it's looking at sensors and positioning sensors and GPS. And so now you can have access to possibly some of that if you have an issue,
right,
which will help diagnose your motor.
Be able to read it out on the screen.
Yeah. It's not quite there yet, but it's definitely something where I think they're going to go in the future is to do something like that.
Well, I mean, obviously the bringing that technology, that anchor lock feature, that spot lock feature, GPS lock, whatever we call it, was a game changer, right? And now we've had it for a few years, so now it's time to nitpick it a little bit.
Right.
And it's like if there's an ask, if you could want something to make it better, I think every one of us, especially when we start to deal with current a very specific spot we're trying to get set up, it can still be a challenge to get perfect.
Right.
We usually just get as close as we can and settle.
Right.
And, when I came over to the booth and you showed me that demo and targeted that waypoint, and then you see the trolling motor go at it, I mean, you could set down 100 feet or however far you want from your spot.
Rig your rods and
Rig
tell
your
it to go
rod,
there.
just say, boom, go. And if you have a specific location you want it to be on, it pulls you right up to it.
Yep.
Fish don't stand a chance.
Yep. And like I said, it's the point from your GPS. So if you mark bottom or you got a spot.
What do you think, Rick? Not for you. Man.
Rick's a sea claw man.
Yeah. And
One
an
day.
anchor.
One day. Rick, we're going to show you a different world, brother.
We got to, man. But yeah, and then you got the big dog, the 96-incher.
Holy cow. Is that a monster or what?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could get it
Did
up.
you see the picture of
Did you
it?
gotta have a short slam.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, most of us would next to something.
Even, well, maybe not Rick.
Maybe not Rick.
Yeah.
I mean,
But, yeah, me or you.
hey, I'll take it. That is what it is. 96 inches,
And now
baby.
and that one's still the, so that, and
That thing's a beast, bro. Can you imagine
yeah, you should see it in person.
yanking that thing up off the bow?
It's going to have like a support in 3 different
It'd be
places.
back
of it.
by the center console, dude.
Yeah. I actually saw somebody on Sunday at the ramp that's got a big boat that was asking me, did I
Apparently
see that?
I don't think my mic is working.
What? Talk.
Talk.
You got it.
He's
No?
good.
Kirk just sent me a message, said my mic's not working.
Somebody confirm if Rick's mic's
Can
still
y'all
working.
hear me now?
John Rivers.
John
and
Rivers.
Dustin Pack.
Can you hear me now?
I'll tell you what was a cool thing to see at ICAST.
Well,
And
let me just get back to what y'all are talking about. Pretty soon, you guys just gonna be able to sit at the dock,
A remote control boat.
just launch your boat. Yeah, eventually you're not gonna have to
Hey,
catch bait.
Rick.
Just throw
Yeah.
some bait, do whatever.
I'm good.
Sit
Rick.
there and come back. Sit there in the lawn chair, or go do what you want to do. Go play around the golf. Come back to the ramp there, and then the boat will come back.
No, I'll stay at the dock. I'm not
Yeah,
going to go
and
play
you'll
golf.
have-
I'm
you
going to
get-
stay at the dock.
I mean, if I could and make money.
That's
Rick.
no fun.
Hey, Rick.
That's not.
Rick.
That's not why you do
We're
it.
joking.
Rick.
We're joking.
Rick.
You guys are spoiled.
Hey, don't hate the
Hey.
player, hate the game,
Hey.
dog.
All right,
I
your
don't hate
mic
the
is
game.
good.
Don't
I
hate
don't
the don't hate the player, hate
I don't
the game,
hate the
Rick.
game. I don't hate. I enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Y'all are the ones not
I
liking
enjoy
the
the game. I don't like the anchor game.
That's part of it.
I know it's part of it. I
That's
mean,
part of
trust
the
me.
challenge.
Why
Trust
don't you
me.
knock that Yamaha off and get you a set of rows and row that sucker out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, ain't
Or
nothing to
get
do
a
with
sail. Get a sail.
it. I don't have my
Rick's
Yamaha
sailing. Rick's sailing
on,
charters.
on GPS.
What does it matter?
Is your
What does it
driver?
matter?
Is your
Hey,
driver?
get a
saying,
dugout.
where does it
Rick's
end?
dugout canoe.
What driver's in
charters.
your golf bag, Rick?
Oh, he's got some fancy. That thing looks like the end of a daggum
Yeah.
teacup.
It don't hit it for me.
Huh?
Yeah, I know.
Might as well.
No, you guys.
Yeah, you got a UFO on the
you
end of that
guys-
stick.
No.
Yeah, if you really want to, I think Dustin hit it. Rick, if you really want to be a purist, come to the fly side.
Oh,
He
yes.
don't even have a trolling motor on his
Yes.
boat. He
Dustin,
push poles.
Dustin, I'm there, brother. That's where I'm going when I retire.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to be in the perfect spot for it.
Yeah,
Hitting
that's
trout. And,
you don't even know. That's
Oh, you don't even know.
Oh.
that is
Oh,
exactly
Dustin.
no Dustin.
Dustin,
Dustin,
you don't even know,
Dustin,
dude.
that is exactly where I'm
You
going.
don't
I got a
even
couple
know.
fly rods and I play around with them. I'm not a fly fisherman by any means, but that's where I'm going.
Oh,
Good
Well.
deal.
Yep.
in a dugout?
No.
Come on, get natural with it.
No.
Man,
You gotta make your own flies, though.
yeah,
can't
you got
be
to tie
buying
your own.
flies,
Yeah, you
Rick.
can't be buying flies.
gotta kill the
dude.
rabbits.
Somebody's going to tie the flies for you.
Raccoons and
I don't
wolves
see a
and stuff
problem
and
with that.
get all the fur,
I
deer
can make
fur.
I can make a fly.
Yeah. Especially if the flies you're going to need up there, I think, are a
Y'all
little
are
bit
fixing
easier.
to see two smash flies in here. Because I'm going
Ice
to
water?
squish them
Yeah.
like a bug.
You know, when we come back from ICAST, obviously there's a ton of products, but one,
You were asking for that one.
How do you feel about an automatic reel?
an automatic
Huh?
reel, like an electric reel.
Yeah.
I could tell you that I don't want any part of being in 600 feet of water and reeling up a 3-pound weight.
But I
all
mean,
the time.
There's a part of me that says I don't want him to do a 600.
There's
foot
guys-
I don't
water.
want. Yeah, I don't want
There's
to
guys
do
that
600
use
feet.
electric reels in 60 foot of water with a half ounce.
Yeah, I'm not
sinker.
really. That's the. I mean,
Unless
probably,
you got a physical element.
Yeah.
60 foot of water. 60 foot of water.
100 foot of water, whatever.
Yeah.
I'd say
Past 200, 300 feet, electric reels
300. I'd say
acceptable.
300 would be like before we start pulling man cards.
Dude,
I'd say
I've been on the
300.
Miss Milwaukee years ago, and the guy had some electric reels in the back, and we weren't fishing. I guarantee you we weren't fishing 100 foot of water.
Did he have arms?
Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, if the technology exists,
he should have
you're
got
allowed
his
to use
man
it.
card pulled. It shouldn't
Yeah.
even exist.
I would say 250 feet is that electric reel number where you get it's acceptable to use an electric reel beyond that depth.
So what's the depth on anchoring that you need to have a spot lock anchor?
I got the
what
answer.
would be the
depth?
Anything deeper than my power poles can
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So I'm about 10.5 foot.
10.5
I'm about 10.5. I'll go with
Is
that.
that a fair enough answer
I'll
for
go
you,
with
Rick?
that.
That's the
Hey,
right
by the way,
Yeah.
we're taking them off next week too, Rick. You
That's-
don't get no power
That's the
poles.
right
Oh,
answer.
man.
You
That's
don't get
good.
power poles. You don't get a trolling motor.
He can have the freshwater stuff. Wouldn't know what to do with a size 16 hook. Yeah, some of those things are like micro. I don't even know how a fish can see some of those flies. But cool to see at ICAST coming away from it. Tons of products, obviously, and I'm sure that if anybody's watching this show, they've probably seen what they need to see from all the vendors they want to follow. But I could tell you that there seemed to be a trend in the industry in big brands with big spend, and they're giving back to conservation in one way or another, or at least getting active in call it water quality issues or whatever things we're struggling with as a state or a saltwater community. There was definitely more this year than ever.
Oh, I'm sure.
Companies either giving back, sponsoring initiatives. So that was a cool thing to see. I'm not going to list them all out, but a lot of brands that I saw this year seem to get on board with that. So
There's a ton of it,
Oh,
but from water quality to saving the plastic,
Yeah.
plastic bottles and all that, for sure.
Spot lock's great when you're catching bait. Spot lock's great when you're catching fish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not a great product. I'm
It's just not
saying
for you.
It's just not for me.
It's just Rick's sour.
It's just not for me.
Rick's sour.
It's no, I ain't sour.
He's sour.
I ain't sour. To me, it's cost versus how much I'll use it.
Gotcha.
That's for me.
Then I can understand.
I
that.
like when I use
Sean-
my trolling
Sean
motor.
and Kyle, reach out to me. We got to do something for Rick.
What?
We've got to put a road in together for Rick.
Let me
We're
gonna
gonna get one.
When,
Might be generation
when
one.
when I fish and use trolling motor like chasing redfish or something, I like being on the front of the boat with my knee knocker, working it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be up there. I can hear y'all from 100 yards away. Oh, I went too far.
Oh, and every time you change that's one thing.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I had a trolling motor years ago when they first come out with the automatic trolling motors. I bought the Minn Kota that had the automatic. When I had my tower boat, and I'm sitting there, this is the greatest thing. I'll just sit up in the tower and run the trolling motor.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt, Dave.
It was back and forth.
Got
It's
called out.
cheap,
Got
whatever.
called- hey,
Dave, I could buy one with the money I've won from you on the golf.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Ooh.
Especially
Sit
with
down.
that new rangefinder you have
Yeah.
and all of the latest technology in your golf bag.
I could buy a new
I mean-
boat with what I've won from both
Oh.
Sphero.
Shots
Old
fired.
school. That's right, Bob.
Shots
I'm
fired.
old school.
Did you see what John asked about the Spheros?
Yes, I did
Dude,
see.
that is going to be
I did see.
Yep. That's a big one. That's probably coming back, like I think from the store and being part of their meeting this morning where they kind of recapped. There's obviously a lot of cool stuff coming out, but
they've got a new
the Spheros
they've got a new open face reel. I don't remember what
Speedmaster,
the Speedmaster.
2-speed.
They redid that.
Fully
and,
machined.
Price point on that looks pretty legit.
Yeah, about $250.
So
they're going to be good.
I'm looking at getting a couple
Shimano,
of
I
those.
thought. Now listen, I don't use Shimano. I don't get sponsored by Shimano, but I was definitely impressed with the things they were bringing to the table. They're revamping one of my favorite rods of all time, the G Loomis Pro Blue.
Mm-hmm.
They did their first wave this year, and I know they have plans to update their Tarpon series very soon. It's up time. But the Spheros at $119.99, and it's got
Killer.
that old school Spheros color scheme. I'm all about that.
Those were, and I still have. I think I have 4 8,000s left.
Yep.
And those did, I don't know, maybe 3 tarpon seasons,
Mhm.
8,000 Spheros. I could put them on rods today, and they'd still rip. They're
Yeah.
fine. Drags are fine.
Mhm.
They were one of the first waterproof
Waterproof
drags,
drag.
where the drag cap had a
gasket.
a gasket washer on it where when you rinse them down, you didn't get water inside the
Hey,
drag.
Steve.
So
Blast from the past right there.
yeah, those are definitely really good reels, man.
Yeah.
Really good reels.
So I thought in my
And they've had them, but they
they start at 5,000.
Yeah, the way that they split up their model branding, I guess, was like they had their what they called saltwater reels,
SWs.
which was more of like your 5,000 to 10,000 type stuff.
Yep.
And then you had the smaller stuff like their inshore stuff, which was like 1,500 or 2,500.
Which they've always technically labeled. I mean, they haven't labeled it freshwater.
But the Spheros used to stretch all the way down. You could get a 3,000 Spheros.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I had several of them at one time. And then they bumped that back, and you couldn't get the 3,000 and the 4,000 Spheros stuff. So I was kind of bummed about that. But
the new Stratic coming out.
Yep.
So obviously they had a good booth. And to give everybody an update, so I believe the Stratics and the Speedmaster. So the Stratic is replacing the one that's been around. I mean, everybody knows the Stratic. Due to ship any day. And same with the Speedmaster, which is that 2-speed conventional reel you talked about. The Spheros is looking like October.
okay.
Just to give you an idea. But yeah, so the Spheros is going to be like their a very fair price saltwater inshore spinning reel, like a truly built saltwater reel from Shimano. That's not something they put a label on. Everybody always uses the Stratic inshore, but I don't think from the Shimano text they're going to say this is a saltwater inshore reel.
If they held up like the old Spheros, if they've found a way to at least improve on that, or just almost keep it the same and just wrap it in a different box, it'd be a quality reel.
Yep.
I'm actually running the Altegras now. Like I said, I swapped out my Nasi, I guess is how you say it. I've heard it said different ways. But,
Me too.
so I went with the Altegras, and that's what I'm using now, and I've been happy with those.
Yeah.
I've been real happy with those. So Rick might get a set of Altegras, and I may get a new set of Spheros.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Those Spheros look good on a Bull Bay rod. Color scheme.
Speaking of which, there was a lot of hype at the Bull Bay Rods booth.
Yeah, man.
There was a lot of commotion over there.
We spent a good deal of time there.
We did. Those guys released one of their new inshore saltwater reels or rods, and they also revamped their tarpon rod. One of the things that I was really happy to hear was they're going to go with double-footed eyes or guides
straight to the top,
all the way up, which will really make an improvement on that rod. The rod itself is fine. The blank is
no need to change that.
But there's a little tweak here and there, which is normal for some of that production stuff.
Yep.
But so they did that, and then they have the Brute, I think. No, what was the new one they've got? The Bolt. Sorry.
That's going to be their high-end inshore.
Which is a really cool-looking inshore rod. I'm looking forward to getting a few of those in my hands. And then they also released officially their bass line of rods. So that was a pretty big hype, especially at ICAST.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff coming from those guys. Super happy to see them succeed and do so well.
One thing I like that they're doing is they're not, if it's not broke, they have if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Everybody's heard that. Bull Bay has found over the years, Bull Bay's been around probably longer than most people are aware, right?
2012 is when they officially started. I got mine like the end of 2011.
Yeah. Seemed like about 2015, 2016, they settled in on like, these are the core rods.
Sure.
Because I know they bounced around a little bit, and that's good. That company should do that in the first few years. Now that they've got like their blanks, their all the components that they've tested, they know work. I like that they're starting to expand on the variations of within a series, right?
Right.
So now the Sniper used to have two versions, an 8 to 17 and a 6 to 12. So like your medium and medium heavy. Now it's available in 7 foot in both, 7.6 in both, and they've also added 7.6 10 to 20 and 12 to 25.
Right.
And that 12 to 25 rod looks like it could be a lot of fun for a lot of the stuff that we like to do around Tampa Bay, where you need that in-between stick. Like, you don't want to be throwing an 8-foot tarpon stick.
That's what
exactly.
I've got the 7-foot Therese. I've got the 7-foot Therese.
Yeah.
That is basically
reminds me of it.
That rod.
Yeah, reminds me of it.
And those are some of the baddest snapper rods I've got. I've got those paired up on a 5,000 series reel. Matter of fact, those are the OC bait runners is what I'm running on those.
Yeah.
And that is a tank of a reel, man. I got them spooled with 20-pound braid. And the last few trips, that's what I've been snapper fishing with.
Yep.
And in part to the fact that a lot of times you're snapper fishing, you're getting those groupers. And we've been able to land a lot of those fish because of, kind of beefing up that tackle a little bit. So that's been good.
12-strand bait from Spider. So I think it's good stuff. And John, we've spent some time together talking about, different things regarding fishing. I use spider wire. I love spider wire. I mean, I swear by that stuff. 12 strand. It starts to get. There's a point in my fishing where I think it gets a little too smooth. Like the braid gets so smooth, so limp that all it does for me is create wind knots, and I fear that that's what's going to do.
Pepperoni with half mushroom.
Yeah, put my order in, man.
You put.
So it looks cool, but I think that application is going to be more freshwater finesse fishing when you start to get in really thin, limp braids in saltwater with the amount of wind we deal with. And well, our thing is all about long distance casts. Like that's where the freshwater market kind of differs. When they're finesse fishing, it's more of a vertical style. So you want the softest, lowest memory braid you could possibly get with the most strands to make it as round as possible. Well, they're not usually fishing like 8, 10, 15-pound braid tests like we do when we go out and throw artificials or sling for long distances. So they're not reeling it in or casting it out through the wind, creating twists, reeling it back, creating all those twists. They're generally finesse fishing, using the machine, fishing drop shots. They're not making the longest possible cast they can like we are to a redfish school. So 12 carrier braid for me, I saw what a lot of 8 carriers have done, and in my opinion, very few of them do it right for the saltwater market. So it looks exciting, but I don't think it's going to be something I'll be using here.
Good response, dude. I'm glad you answered that one. That was above my pay grade right there. I can tell you right. I mean, limp braid and long casts.
Well, Rick, what's your thoughts on the new 12?
Get out of my league when you went there. When you started talking about the limp braid, I mean, I ain't about the limp braid.
Ditto. All right.
You know.
And Rick tends to agree with me on that subject. But yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. Penn, for anybody I saw, like Ty chimed in. Penn's got some new price point reels that they've needed to revamp. The Fierce, which is a popular one, especially amongst charter captains, which has always been that $59, $69 like saltwater reel where it's got a metal frame. They've made updates to that where at $69 from Penn now, you're going to get a full metal body reel with a carbon fiber waterproof drag. So they're doing a lot inside of that reel to make it competitive in the market.
About the reels that we had one up here about 2 months ago, 3 months ago
that was the Pursuit.
No, this was
the O'Hero brand?
Yeah.
Oh, the O'Hero brand? Yeah,
Whatever happened to those?
They're downstairs for sale.
I mean, are good results.
People using them? Yeah, I mean, for the amount.
Pro staffer, Rick.
Yeah, for the amount they've sold.
On.
Yeah, I would say there have been a couple. I don't know if it's abuse or not, but let me tell you this: any reel we sell that many of, a couple come back. But yeah, I think that it's been good at $50 and the price it's at. It's not going to be like your hardcore saltwater. So I compare it to another reel in its class, which is the Penn Pursuit. Penn Pursuit's a lunky, heavy, grinded out feeling reel. It is tough. It is tough, and it's a saltwater reel. But I'd say that like it's
people break Van Stalls
in a charter reel.
Like,
I'd probably lean more towards the Penn side.
I was just curious I mean, were you know, oh yeah, well they were pretty good, but we're getting a lot back, or
No, not by any means. Yeah, people seem to be happy. Yeah.
Break a bowling ball.
Yep.
I mean, but I was just curious because I hadn't heard anything about that.
Yep.
Since we had.
You're out, Rick.
They've been good.
Hang on. Put this in. Come here.
Rick, hang in there, buddy.
Here.
But yeah, so Penn's got a new one coming out. They've also got some.
Tell Bob that was a joke.
Rick is still using mono. Rick's mic is not
How about this
working.
one?
Bob, that was a joke about the mono.
You got this one? We got Mike? I got Mike?
Yep, we're good.
I think so.
We're gonna order new mics tonight.
We're ordering new mics tonight.
Mic check, mic check. We are good to go.
Mic check.
Hey,
mic
Kirk,
check.
if you're still watching, I know you chimed in quite a while back. I'd love to know the results of that mackerel tournament. I know there was a lot of people that were hyped up when we left O'Brien's Wednesday night, ready to get out there and fish. So I'd love to know how that went. So if you get a chance, share that with us. But outside of that,
He's just been an old trophy collector here.
He has been. He's been racking them up, dude.
Like, he's crushing it out.
Now, here's one thing I learned.
Hang
on. I went to the O'Brien's Fishing Club, my first time visiting those guys Wednesday night. awesome group. I love how they approach a meeting, and I'll just leave it at that. I'll definitely say, if you are in an area where you can realistically get out to that Brandon O'Brien's once a month for this meeting, that is a valuable meeting for somebody who's new to fishing and is looking for advice, tips, a community they can bounce questions off, fishing buddies. They seem to have a good camaraderie, and they're all about each other's success, which too often these days isn't the case. So I hold that group in a high regard.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I know Rick was one of the founding fathers.
Rick is the founding father. There's
I was
actually a
I was
statue. If
the
you walk
founding
out
father.
back,
The founding father.
I will sign,
if you walk out by the
photos
dumpster,
or anything you
I
need.
guess have new mics.
if you walk by the dumpster, there's actually a statue of Rick.
Yeah,
He's out there.
it's got stuff
It's right
growing on
between
it.
the dumpster and the portalet. It's hard to see.
But it was a cool group, man. There was people who watch our show who came out. One guy, so they're going around the room and they're like, "Hey, have you fished much lately?" And he's like, "No, I'm just in town visiting from Indiana." He's like, "Oh, I was hoping to maybe fish a day or two while I'm here, but I got to go back tomorrow." But he just came out to talk fishing, and there was people that came from Oldsmar that watch our show. So I think that having us support them support us, it's
You're
a good
celebrity, bro.
Well, no, we put it out on this show.
Beers.
Did you
I'm
sign
James
autographs?
Beers.
I just want to know, did you
Hey.
sign any autographs?
No, but I gave out a business card.
He signed the wall. He signed the wall.
Signed the wall.
Did you sign the
Wall?
wall of
I
fame?
didn't sign the
Did you
wall.
go
Yes,
back?
you did.
Did you
No?
go back and say hi to Rick?
Yeah, I paid my respects to the statue. It's hard to find back there between the dumpster and the fence
looks
because you got all that
nothing like-
growth on it,
It
dude.
looks nothing like
It's
me.
like vines.
No,
And
it looks nothing like me.
Scott, what's up, buddy? What's up, Kenny? But yeah, so all good week, man. But I'm definitely looking forward to get back in the grind. It felt like a week off fishing.
You can put that on your head. That one, you don't have to hold it like this.
Mhm.
That one's got it.
There we go.
I was wearing it all show.
Like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
What are you scared?
Yeah, it kind of was.
Don't be. So Kirk, my daughter got second and I got fourth, quarter inch from third. Well, it's all about the daughter,
It's a
anyways.
game- it's a
So
game
what
of
I was going to
inches,
say
Kirk.
about Kirk, where I was going, all those compliments about the fishing club is, I can tell you this right now: when Kirk goes out there, he's playing second fiddle. He's the net man
Oh,
to all the ladies on the
Oh,
boat.
yeah.
And
That's Captain Kirk.
that's Captain Kirk
Yep.
right there for sure. But yeah,
Beam me
definitely
up, Scotty.
definitely a good time talking to those guys. What else we got? We still got a few minutes. We're still
What
good.
we got here? Oh, we got plenty of time.
So Rick, you got the kids camp this week. What do you
We
got
got
going on
kids
this week,
camp.
Trav?
I'm kids camper. I've got 2 days where I'm gonna run an afternoon trip.
Okay.
But I've been kids camping it, so we're gonna mix it up, man. We got some nice weather. It looks like coming
Mhm.
up this week. Today was beautiful, so we did a bay day.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow we're gonna do shark tarpon day,
Mm-hmm.
and then Wednesday we're gonna bay fish unless the weather pushes us in, and then Thursday and Friday we're definitely gonna fish inshore.
I don't think you're
So-
going to have a problem with weather this week.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be nice.
Looks good.
They did request to do some snook fishing, so we're definitely going to do it, at least a day or two. And then, depending on what the weather does, will kind of dictate where I go to do that. I'd like to come back home just because that's where I'm more comfortable, and the traffic's been a little bit lower down there, so I may run back across. If the weather doesn't let me, I won't. But we're going to try to go do some tarpon tomorrow. I got some older kids, so it's been nice. Rick and I had this conversation. These kids camps are great, and
Which we're going to have Parker, the guy that he's the brainchild of this whole thing. He's going to be one of our guests, but we got to wait till the summer's
The
over.
Things
and
wrap
the
up,
camp's
obviously,
over,
yeah.
because he there's no way he can get in here
right.
now. But yeah, Parker's going to come in, and it's a very successful camp. They had like 250, 300 kids, somewhere between 250 and 3
Yeah.
on a waiting list, and they're running 15 boats a week.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's
So-
sort of crazy, and what's nice is, like I was saying, some of the first camps that I did, I had some of the younger kids,
Mhm.
right?
We remember.
And so this week I've got. I
You're in
think-
jail, boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right, man.
jail
I put 'em
and-
through Captain
yeah.
Trap. But think about it, when they're 12,
Beheadings.
dude, you're gonna sit back on the live well. I mean, these boys are gonna run the boat.
Yeah.
Well, my crew today, I think my youngest one's 12, so I've got like 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and the difference between the maturity of
Well,
the 8,
and,
9-year-olds
there's
up to
a
the 12-year-olds.
Well, not
was a
only
big
that,
difference.
that is true, but you can also tell a difference in kids that their dads take them fishing, And kids, I got a kid this week that I think he's there because his dad just wants him to fish.
Mm-hmm.
But
He's
go
not.
be an outdoorsman, son. He's had no help so far to this point.
Well, and like you said, so a kid at 7, 8, he may have only been exposed a short period of time, still testing the waters. If you're 13, 14, you either like it or you don't.
Man, I had a
You've probably
9-year-old last
been
week.
fishing a few times at least.
I had a 9-year-old last week. This is my favorite camper of all time. And honestly, after day one, I thought to myself, this is going to be a long week, because Jason Thompson named him the Spider Monkey. I'm telling you, the kid was all over the boat, and I was like, I'm getting anxiety from it.
Yeah.
But it was bad weather,
Yeah.
and I kind of got caught in some bad weather, and that didn't help. But after about an hour of day 2, I started really appreciating this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, tell the story you told me about when he caught the fish on the front of the boat. That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah, he.
Because that's how these kids are. They're fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about
when he said, "I'll go to the back"?
Yes, he catches a I don't know 24, 25-inch redfish, and catches the fish.
Typical Captain. Rick told me it was a 40-incher.
Mm-hmm.
No, brings it in. I mean,
That's what you
it was a little exciting, and I didn't tell you this, and I'll tell you all that. I cannot tell the story of when he had the fish on. Hey, there was some sailors that'd be proud of the language this kid was using.
No way.
But anyway, he gets the fish in. We take the picture, whatever, put it back, and he says, "All right, I got mine." He says, "Somebody else go on up there and fish. I'm gonna fish out of the back for a while." And the same thing happened. Now, I had two kids one kid caught a 29-inch snook, and he did the same thing. He says, "I'm going to fish over here." He says, because I already caught a big fish. He says, "I want somebody else to catch a big."
Give these other kids the opportunity.
Both of those kids did that, and that was kind of cool and refreshing.
Yeah.
But the kid I'm talking about, by the third day, man, I'm starting to fall in love with this guy. I'm like, man, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, man, I hated to see him get off the boat.
Yeah.
I'm serious. This guy was from Phoenix, Arizona. He flew in for this camp.
That's cool.
He weighed about 70 pounds. I mean, he's a little bitty guy. And when I say spider monkey, that's exactly what he was like. Man, he was all over the boat. But he brought his iPad the last day, and he goes, "Hey, I want to show you. And he's almost 10. He goes, "I'm going to show you some stuff." He started flipping through pictures and videos of him fishing.
Mm-hmm.
That was phenomenal. My point, I kind of ran down a trail here. My point was, that kid could match up with the 14-year-olds.
Right.
Mix right in.
Right.
Right in, as far as fishing goes.
Yeah.
Now, his intellect was still a little 9-year-old.
Still a 10-year-old.
Right. But as far as fishing skills,
Yeah.
this little joker had it.
That's cool.
I mean, he was on it. So I'm just saying that along with what you said. It's not always the little, the young. Sometimes, and also what I said about this kid I have on the boat this week, good kid, just, he's 12 years old. He's a good kid. He's just never been exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, personally, I'd rather have 4 9-year-olds that their dads have been fishing them for their whole life than 4 14-year-olds that don't
have no interest or
what do I do now?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, there's a give and a
Definitely
take
does.
on all that. I mean, what I will say is, and I'll go with you too. So I don't have one kid from Florida.
Quaaludes.
I don't have one kid on the boat from Florida this week.
Hey, scroll that down.
Which was pretty cool. So what was cool about that is like a dolphin. The one kid goes, "Can we go tarpon fishing?" And he goes, "Man, if I could just see a tarpon, that'd be cool."
Mm-hmm.
So it's little stuff like that where, they're literally blank canvases. The one kid pulled up a sheep's head. He goes, "What in the world is that?"
Right.
And so it's just cool and sort of refreshing to kind of expose them to the stuff that most of your customers don't want nothing to do with.
Right.
They're very specific.
Sure.
Mhm.
They're very
like 147-pound tarpon today, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
A kid that fishes, that has fished with his father. I'm sure y'all grew up fishing with your dads or whatever, and you didn't get on the boat at 12 years old and start figure eighting with the rod tip,
Huh.
Over top of everybody's head.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. That's
right.
Maybe we did, but we didn't have braided line then, so it wasn't as bad.
I bet you didn't.
Yeah, I got it. Listen, I sometimes see adults who figure eight these days. So.
Dude.
Oh, man. Eric joined. Dude, big congratulations on the grouper, man. I know you sent me that picture, but we gave you kudos earlier for sticking with it and having a mission and seeing it true. Having a mission and seeing it to fruition. Good job, Eric.
Hey, Angelo, trust me, it's been a teaching process. I haven't lost patience with any of them. My point was only you those days of having a group full of them like that, and I don't have a group full.
It's a welcome
I just
change.
Got one.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think the age really matters. A lot of times, what matters is their background getting to this camp.
Mm-hmm.
That was my whole point.
Well, and a lot of that goes, and just a basic principle. You can't teach somebody that doesn't want to learn, that isn't interested.
And that's true.
And some of these kids,
that's a fact.
Some of these kids, and it's no knock on the camp, it's no knock on the kids, the parents, whatever. There's just some of these kids that end up in these camps as more of a first exposure.
See if you like this.
You should go to this kid's camp
Sure.
to see. The kid's never picked up a rod, never been on a boat, never, some of these kids never been on saltwater. The one kid today goes, "Hey, can I bring my fly rod?" He's from, I think, South Carolina. He fishes all the trout streams and stuff, and very knowledgeable about his area. So I was lucky that I got 4 kids that want to learn.
Right.
I mean, the last trip I did.
You had a kid say, "Can he bring his fly rod?"
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm back on.
that's cool.
We get to the first spot. I'm rigging a few rods. I'm doing this and that, and the kids are bouncing off the walls in the cooler, crushing the ice in the cooler. The one kid already peeled his lunch out. He's handing snacks to everybody. Today I pulled into the first spot, and the kid goes, "What knot is that?" "Oh, how much lead are you going to use?"
Yeah.
"Oh, that's a pretty small
Right.
hook. What size hook is that?" And so
Right.
these kids were a little more willing to learn, wanted to learn, were there for a reason. And so for me, the kind of guy I am.
Oh, that's perfect for you.
He's eating it up.
I lit up like a Christmas tree because I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
These kids want to learn, and I want to teach you. And so for me, I really enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the week with these kids because, we are going to have some nice weather.
And
There's
that's a
lot of
good
different stuff we
good
can
group
do.
for you.
Yeah.
And so
That's how I am too. I want to.
And see, I'm the opposite. Not the opposite, but my guy this week, with the other 3, hey, I just want him to have fun.
Yeah.
You know what? If he wants to catch fish, we're going to catch fish. And he caught fish today.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I want him getting off the boat going, I had fun. So,
well, that's the first.
you try to I keep them safe, but you just try to show them what what works best. But man, if they're kids,
well, you got to know how to read it.
Exactly.
You gotta feel out how much you can put on the plate.
That's right.
How much is a serving? You know what I mean?
That's right.
And like you said, with some of the, and I'm not even gonna say some of the younger kids because you're right. It's not really an age divide. It's really just an interest divide, right?
Or an exposure divide.
Or an exposure divide, however you want to look at it.
To.
But you read that, and some days you're not gonna run very far because you can satisfy those kids. Real close or doing something that's relatively easy.
I text.
Not a bad thing, but like with these kids, dude, we're going for it. We're doing the Tampa Bay, haul.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get
I'm
them
all in.
Right.
So
and that's cool. I mean, that's
full tanks of fuel,
neat.
and we're going after it.
If you get that, if you get
Which
a
is
group
cool
like
because
that,
that's how I
that's
like
good.
to fish.
Right.
So I was, like I said, I was really excited that I had some of the older kids that were interested in getting out and really kind of getting with it.
It's going to be a fun week.
It's been fun. Yeah. Not that I didn't have fun in the past weeks, but it's definitely a different experience.
More your speed.
More my speed.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, guys, it is about chicken
Supper
wing
time.
30.
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it in the belly.
We're gonna get ready to wrap this thing up. We want to thank everybody again this week for watching, answering or asking some questions. If there's anything, like always, if you want to know or you got an idea for a topic or idea for a show, feel free to shoot us a message, give us a call. My cell phone number is 813-830-3474. That's Captain Travis Yaeckel. James.
813-625-2067.
And if you want to get a hold of Captain Rick, you can give him a call.
813-601-2900. Yeah, I've seen what Angelo put there. Yeah, that's awesome, Angelo, and hopefully these kids that go through this camp, the captains that are working the camp, can do the same thing.
Have the same impression.
But I'm not worried about making these kids fishermen. I'm worried about making these kids better,
have a good time,
better people,
there
and
you go.
have fun.
There you go.
There's a lot of morals to be learned from fishing. And I think
100%.
you guys we kind of touched on it actually talking about the kids, but just like the kid wanting to move to the back and give the other kid an opportunity.
High five moment.
Something like that,
100%.
just something like that
Absolutely.
is a really big deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because the next thing you know, he's opening the door or holding the door for a kid or something like that.
Yep.
It just goes a long way. So at the end of the day, there's an old saying, take a kid fishing. Don't let your kid be the one that got away.
Take them fishing.
So it's all good, man.
True stuff.
Guys, we're going to do another week of fishing. Hope you enjoy it too. Until next time, tight lines. Another episode of Get Spooled Fishing. We'll see you same place,
see ya.
same time next week.
Out.